Diego Pavia versus Ty Simpson, College Game Day. What more could you want from this atmosphere?
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome in. It is a college crossover edition of the Locked On Podcast Network here. Locked On Vandy, myself, Corey Burton, and joining me is Luke Robinson from Locked On Bama. And man, this is an exciting matchup, top 20 matchup. There's the revenge factor for you guys. College Game Day is there. You got an epic quarterback duel. I mean, there's a lot of storylines to unpack in this one, and we're gonna break it all down. But let's start with the quarterbacks, man. Like what? Well, actually, we'll start here because this episode is brought to you by Mazda. This, like our players do, set every detail, because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. So stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. So speaking of two guys that move the game forward, Ty Simpson, Diego Pavia. So tell me, Ty Simpson versus Vandy, like what do you see with Vandy's defense? How can Ty Simpson attack this defense? Where is Vanderbilt, in y'all's eyes, most vulnerable?
Well, I think Vanderbilt is probably most vulnerable where Alabama is strongest, and that is in the pass defense. And I think Alabama is clearly going to have the better athletes, but Vanderbilt plays sort of that one heartbeat, right? I mean, Vanderbilt also just plays, they are a true reflection of their coach. They seem rather no nonsense. And, they're going to do it all the same way. And if that happens to be wrong, so be it, but they're all going to be wrong together. And there's certainly something very noble about that. And it can be very successful if everybody's on the right page and you're going in the right direction. So I think Alabama's advantages are going to be in the passing game because, frankly, Alabama's running game has been rather pedestrian this year. Jam Miller came back, and he was huge in the win against Georgia. There's no doubt about that. However, he had 16 carries for 46 yards. I mean, he had a few catches for a few yards, and one of them was huge to seal the game. But it's not like Alabama's got a Najee Harris, a TJ Yeldon, a Trent Richardson, a Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, any of those guys back there right now. They just don't have that. They've got some running backs that are pretty doggone good, but their strength lies in the passing game. And that is certainly, even in the Florida State contest, and I was there and it was awful and I could say all these things about it. But even in the Florida State game, you could tell that loss wasn't on Ty Simpson. That loss was many other factors. So I think Ty Simpson's been rather consistent. And I think you could make the case for him being the best quarterback in the SEC right now, if it's not Diego Pavia.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this game features, I think statistically based on quarterback rating, the two best quarterbacks in the conference. Now, what I really love about Ty Simpson is that he is so poised. He throws with great anticipation. He can fit the ball in tight windows, all of the things you need out of a distributing quarterback. Like, he is Ryan Grubb's perfect quarterback. He is the right-handed Michael Penix, right? And that's exactly what they did with Michael Penix at Washington, is what they're doing with Ty Simpson now, getting the ball out quick, designing route concepts that really stretch the field vertically and horizontally. So they put a lot of pressure on the secondary, and it makes it, with his timing and his rhythm, it makes it, Luke, where you can't really get to him, because Georgia tried. Georgia had free runners. I think up front, as far as blitz package wise, they had a pretty decent game plan to try to stop Ty Simpson. But Ty Simpson gets the ball out quick. So, like, there's other ways that I feel like Vandy's defense is going to have to pressure this team, and they're going to have to, if they're going to stop this passing game or slow it down, because there's not really any stopping it. But if they're going to slow it down, they've got to get hands on receivers. They've got to disrupt the timing, not necessarily with Ty Simpson, but with the receivers out on the perimeter too. Yeah.
And that's the thing, is, for the most part, Ty Simpson's been on the same page with his guys. And it's, oddly enough, the one guy who has not shown the ability to make all the catches when the passes are right is Ryan Williams, who had a pretty good game against Vanderbilt last year. He made a dazzling touchdown grab and run. But I think he, like everybody else in that Vanderbilt game last year, probably would like to have that one over. Yeah. But Ty Simpson has been really, really efficient. No interceptions yet. Now, that is a monster positive, and everybody loves to talk about it. What you do worry about, though, is like a guy who's made 47 free throws in a row, and then he misses the one free throw that's number 48 that in the most crucial of moments. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, the 47 free throws don't matter anymore. It was that one that you missed that was the big problem. And that's what you worry about is like when he throws an interception, I just hope it's like in garbage time or it's like at the very beginning of the game and the opponent doesn't score from it, because you'd hate it to be his first interception be something like a crucial pick six.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big factor in last year's game was a pick six from Jalen Milroe early in the game. It just kind of set the tone for the game. So no matter when you get a pick six, it's always very, very detrimental in a game that's tight like this. So switching gears to Diego Pavia, is there anything you want to know about Vanderbilt's offense and Diego Pavia? Like he's a special dude, and I'll talk about Bama's defense here in a second. But
y'all gotta love him, right? I mean, he's just got to be sort of. I don't know if Vanderbilt could ever have a Johnny Manziel, and I know he's going to be there on the sidelines, and I know that's who Diego Pavia idolized growing up. But I think Vanderbilt, as much as Vanderbilt could have a Johnny Manziel, like not this. Vanderbilt's never going to have the most party animal, crazy, wild and woolly gunslinger quarterback. I wouldn't think. I mean, I guess Jay Cutler was in there somewhere, but Diego Pavia. Is just such he's like a Nashville legend, right? I mean, he's going to be that, right? Regardless of what happens.
Yeah, he already is. And this result, I don't think has any bearing on that. But I mean, just think if he somehow comes out with a win Saturday, I mean, you might as well build a statue. I mean, he's a generational type of talent. And I look at him as kind of the humble version of Johnny Manziel. He does a lot of the same things that Manziel does, except for party. He, instead of sneaking into bars at 3:00 in the morning, he, according to the Netflix documentary, he's breaking into the weight room and he's throwing with his guys. I mean, he's doing the things that you need to do to be successful as a quarterback because he has a chip on his shoulder. He's 5'10". He's got all the measurables stacked up against him, but he makes up with it in everything else he does. He's a tough kid, great leader. Make sure he picks up everybody around him, and that's what he needs to do. And that's what's been huge with this turnaround with Vanderbilt, dating back to last year. I mean, that's been the biggest thing. So when you look at what the impact he has on this team, he's the heart and soul, and he is the heart. And he's almost the heart and soul of Nashville. He's almost the heartbeat of the city. Like, you're seeing more Vanderbilt stuff around town because, as you know, if it's not orange, it's crimson in Nashville. That's kind of where the allegiances lie. That's kind of where the most fans of that's how most fanhood lies here in Nashville. So, yeah, he's been a huge part of what Vanderbilt's trying to do. And the scary part is like everything that he was deficient in last year, he's improved a great deal. Like every passing attribute he has, pocket presence, pocket awareness, accuracy, timing. The only thing he hasn't really improved on yet, and I think that's just more of his physical limitations, is his deep ball accuracy. All of his interceptions have been on deep shots where he's underthrown the receiver. So that's not great, but I think everything else is elevated to the point where Vanderbilt's scoring 49 points a game. They are racking up nearly 500 yards of offense, and they are killer in the red zone, killer on third down, great in the rush game. Not as great in the passing game, but they just don't really – the volume's just not there to really get things going, but they're good enough in the passing game. So, I mean, this is probably – I would say this is Vanderbilt's most loaded roster I think that they've ever had.
I think that's very fair. James Franklin days, I mean, they had some dudes, but it's hard to really remember who any of them were. You just knew that, those teams were winning 9 games a year, it felt like. But I do wonder, and again, this isn't to try and talk trash. I know Pavia came out very brashedly and said, is that a word? Brashedly? Or is it brazenly? I say brazenly.
Brazenly, well, brashedly.
No, brazenly works. Brashedly, I don't know.
Let's make it a word, Let's make it a word.
But I like to learn from myself when I'm on here. But
For sure.
he said something about how if we just do what we're supposed to do, I mean, it won't be close. Not verbatim, but something like that. And I was asked about that on a Montgomery radio station today, and I said, hey, look, any other time, any other Vanderbilt quarterback had ever said that in the history of there being football, we all would have laughed right out of the stadium. But this isn't 2017, whoever that lineman was with the very effeminate voice saying, hey, Alabama, you're next. Nobody took that seriously. Everybody thought, oh, my God, what have you just stepped in? And this is different. I really believe, whether it happens or not, I believe Diego Pavia believes that. It's not lip service. I think he truly believes that. And so, in a way, I respect it. And it's up to Alabama to stop it.
Yeah, absolutely. He wholeheartedly believes it. He believes that they can go 12-0 and win a national championship. He believes they can win the SEC. He believes all the goals out there, the small ones, the large ones, he believes in every single one of them. And that's the thing that I think galvanizes the team. Like, they know he believes it. He's not just out there talking trash to talk trash. He actually believes that in those guys, and he believes that his guys, and it's because he's like, hey, it's because my offensive line is great. It's because we have a great defense. It's because I have great weapons to throw to. And he makes sure he shouts those guys out after he makes his bold statement. He goes on to give, like, he usually goes on to give credit to the guys. So it's something that I think really is a big difference mentally, emotionally for this team. And that's, you got to look at that and have a lot of respect for that. And most times when people talk trash, it's just that. It's just lip service. They don't really, it's whatever. But he's full-fledged believing it. So, but when we come back, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue to break this matchup down. We're going to talk about the environment. How does Bama win? How does Vanderbilt win? We're going to get into all that, and we're going to make a prediction. This show's flying by. You know what they say, time flies when you're having fun. We'll talk about all of that next. Luke, do you play FanDuel?
I do. On occasion, I don't do it as often as I should, but I do. I love it. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah, I love the player props for NFL. I do same game parlays for college, and I'll do live lines for the other bets or for the other sports like NBA or NHL, or not really NHL. I don't know how to bet hockey, but in MLB, I'll do like I'll get in like the seventh inning of a baseball game and make a bet.
It's the only way you can make baseball fun for me. I'm not a baseball dude.
Absolutely.
So you got to have some FanDuel for that.
Yeah, and the Braves are terrible, so I'm more of a baseball dude than you are probably, and the Braves are terrible, so it makes it even less fun. But putting money on it makes it interesting. So, like I said, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. So that's pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across apps. So why wouldn't you join, right? And what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download FanDuel app today and get started with your same game parlays. Square. I love local businesses. You do too. This episode's brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. We have a place, Luke, called Waldo's Chicken and Beer. I got one right up the road from me. Yeah, they're Square users, man. It's amazing, and the people that run that place just make it feel like a neighborhood joint, man. There's certain businesses that make the neighborhood like that. We have a place called Mas Tacos. It's an authentic Mexican taco stand. They're a big user of Square, but like it is a shack in the middle of East Nashville, but it has the best fish tacos you'll ever eat, and it's just something that makes this thing feel like home, and it's they use Square, and it's. Man, it just brings everything together, man. And there's always a long line, and you're in a good spot when there's a long line like that, right?
Oh, always. I mean, that always means something. I mean, if other people, I always get scared when I go in a restaurant and I'm the only one there.
Yeah, you're like, what am I about to walk into? But not these places, and not a lot of places around. So make sure you're visiting those businesses and make sure you know that also Square is a proud partner of more than 400 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/lockedoncollege to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy that you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. All right, thanks for making Locked On your first listen each and every day. If you are not subscribed to Locked On Bama, you're being left out. If you're not subscribed to Locked On Vandy, you're also missing out. So make sure you subscribe to both our shows, and make sure after you get done listening to Luke and Jimmy on Locked On Bama and myself on Locked On Vandy, Chris Gordy on Locked On SEC is not a bad place to go if you need a third listen there, or any of the shows in the family of shows in the SEC network of shows on Locked On Network. So make sure you visit those. A lot of great shows from top to bottom. All 17 SEC shows are phenomenal. So I wouldn't have it any other way. So Luke, looking at this game, the atmosphere, like y'all are used to having game day all the time. Like this is nothing for you guys. For Vanderbilt, it's they have to be pretty stoked, right? The game day's coming. They have to know that this is a big game atmosphere. Do you think that's a factor with that? Like, do you think Bama could get like, well, we're double-digit favorites. Game day's here. It's it's no big deal. Could you get? I mean, obviously with the game that happened last year, I don't think that would happen. But is there a chance that Bama could get kind of lulled into the atmosphere?
No, I really believe, look, there are a lot of similarities. Somebody brought it up to me today about Alabama 2012 going on the road to LSU, winning in dramatic fashion. Now, that game was a little different. Alabama, came in. I don't remember if Alabama was favored that game or not, but it was just a tight game, one of those classic Alabama LSU matchups. Alabama gets the screenplay to TJ Yeldon. They win the game. AJ McCarron's crying in the stands and all this other stuff. And so we come back next week, and guess what we do? We lose a game because we weren't super prepared for Johnny Manziel.
Yeah. And
we had a valiant comeback. Probably should have won and probably should have come back, but we had a couple of miscues late in the game that cost us. But so the same kind of scenario this week, right? Go to Georgia, a place where everybody thought Alabama would probably end up losing this contest. They get a win. I don't know about dramatic fashion, but dramatic enough. And they're coming back, and they're going to play a team that's got a Johnny Manziel-esque kind of dude back there, and that everybody's sort of unassuming. But I'll say this, the one thing, if Vanderbilt hadn't won last year, I'd probably be a little more worried about this. Because Vanderbilt won last year, I feel like this is something that Alabama has said, we just can't let that happen again. Now, what happened at Florida State? Again, every time I get fired up about this team, something in my depressed mind, my pessimistic mind comes back and goes, hey, what about Florida State? And I don't know how to explain that. I'm hoping by the time all this is over, Alabama's hoisted trophies, and we figure out, oh, Florida State was the anomaly. It was just a crazy outlier. We don't know what happened. And I think that's why this game is going to define Kalen DeBoer probably more so than some of the others. The two Georgia games, for instance, that he's won that have been just awesome games. I think this game defines Kalen DeBoer in a much bigger way because he knows what's at stake now. It's not like Vanderbilt ain't sneaking up on nobody, y'all. They're 16 in the country. They're undefeated. I know they've played a bunch of dented soup cans. I get it. And one of them was South Carolina. Even the one team they played in South Carolina was without their best player for most of that game. Okay? But Vanderbilt's good. I don't know how to – it's hard for people like me who grew up on SEC football, who know Louis – I don't know how old you are, Corey, but have you ever heard the Louis Grizzard joke about when Spain – remember it was like during one of the Iraq wars, I think, Spain wouldn't let our airplanes fly over their airspace. Yeah. And he goes, when are we taking orders from Spain? Spain can't beat Vanderbilt, for God's sakes. And I mean, everybody went crazy because it's funny. Yeah. But guess what? Spain didn't have to, ironically, take on a dude with a Spanish name like Diego Pavia.
Bring it full circle. I love it, man. I love it. So, yeah, I mean, this game, honestly, the atmosphere of it, and I think there's a chance with, if it was just a normal road game, I think the atmosphere in and of itself, like isolated Bryant-Denny Stadium, like I think Diego Pavia is seasoned enough and this team is seasoned enough to where it's not going to really be a huge deal walking into Bryant-Denny Stadium. They did it with Williams-Brice. They shut that crowd up pretty fast. They shut Lane Stadium's crowd up pretty fast as well. But like the atmosphere of game day, the implications, they're ranked. Like at some point, like Vanderbilt's never been there before. Like part of that's in the back of my mind, like thinking, okay, that's a factor. And that's something that they're going to have to get over pretty quick, because early on in the game, that might lead to some like turbulence until they get settled in. It's just how fast they get settled in.
Have you been to Bryant-Denny before?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going this time?
I'm not going this time.
Okay. Well, it's a great trip, and it's like college football history, and you need to go. I mean, everybody needs to go check it out one time. I mean, it's a cathedral of football.
It is. I went before they did a lot of the renovations to it, like now. Thousands.
It ain't Williams-Brice Stadium. Williams-Brice Stadium is raucous and crazy, and I've been there a few times, and they got the towels and they do the stuff, but the thing about Bryant-Denny, and look, Alabama can get nuts. I mean, Georgia last year was about as nuts as it's going to get, and it was just an incredible atmosphere, one of the best ones ever. I've been all over for college football. That was one of the best I've ever been to, and it's going to be a little more subdued than that. Number one, it's a 2:30 game. Yeah. Number two, it is Vanderbilt. It's going to be hard for some people to shake that. I'm just telling you right off the bat.
That's the history of it. And that's okay. Like that's still part of Vanderbilt's growing up in the league. Like they're going to have to deal with some of that. Like a lot of people just don't take Vanderbilt very seriously yet. But like, I think this will be a statement game for them. And I think, the combination of, hey, this is a big game, then the big game jitters, to, hey, this is a statement game and we're going to be hyper focused on this. And we're going to be, we're going to come in like they did at Williams-Brice, where they marched right down on the opening drive to score a touchdown. Like that kind of stuff can really fuel this team. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be an atmosphere, that's for sure. And I think it's going to be something to take hold, but they've got to really, the big key is for them to like lock in and like not almost have their blinders on and just not worry about what's happening in the crowd. Don't do things to bring the crowd in, like get false starts, turn the ball over deep in your own territory, have any sort of miscues that allow the crowd to think that they're in it. If they can avoid those moments, then I think they have, just football team to football team, they belong. But you bring in, like you let yourself, and that's where the elite teams, the good teams, and the bad teams all separate. Like the bad teams do that kind of stuff in those type of environments. They let the crowd into it. Like Auburn against Texas A&M, they let Kyle Field crowd into it. And they suffered because of it. And they did the same thing at Oklahoma. But like Alabama, they walked into Athens, and that's a hostile environment. Didn't phase them one bit. Did not phase them one bit. And they did not let the crowd affect them at all. And that's why I think they were able to win, because football team to football team, Georgia has a lot of red flags. And Alabama has their fair share. And of course, Vanderbilt has their fair share. But Bama's red flags weren't as bad as Georgia's red flags on that night, and they were able to win. So, and you said something about, you think about, I want to go back to this before we get out of here, but you went and said something like, hey, I keep thinking about Florida State. I keep thinking about Florida State. What are the red flags in your mind that, that are obviously still kind of messing with you?
Well, I think one is pass protection. A lot of people, and me included, what I had said right after Florida State, I have no problem owning this, but it's not, I'm owning it, but it's not, I didn't say it for the reason you think. I admitted that I didn't think Ty Simpson was the problem at Florida State. I also thought like, okay, this team looks like they aren't fired up right now. I was there again. I was there. There was no juice. It was just no excitement on the Alabama side, and it was weird. So my hypothesis was, what'll get you fired up? It's not replacing the right guard or getting a new holder for the kicker. It is replacing your quarterback. And even though Ty Simpson didn't play bad, maybe this team would respond to somebody, like the true freshman Keelan Russell or Austin Mack, who transferred over from Washington. Maybe. But then what I didn't know was that how well Ty Simpson was going to respond, because he was almost a different quarterback right after that game too. I was shocked how well the team played against ULM. I sort of made fun of Vandy's schedule, but ULM, obviously the worst team we've played to date, but there's playing somebody and beating them 70-0, and you go, everybody beat them 70-0. And then there's beating them 73-0, and you go, hey, we look sharp. We look like we knew what we were doing.
That's what happened at Georgia State with us. Like,
that's what Alabama did.
Yeah. You're supposed to do that, and you absolutely did that with an exclamation point. I think that's what people, when they look at Bama's schedule, they overlook that point, and when people look at Vandy's schedule, they overlook the point that they did that. They put 70 on Georgia State, first time since 1918 they put 70 points on the board, and that's crazy. That's a crazy. Like the last time they put 70 points on the board, their starting quarterback got drafted and got shot down over France in World War I. How insane is that stat? Right,
that's a big one.
It's a big one, right? And then like you look at the schedules, like Wisconsin, when you schedule them, they were good. They were really good. They were a great program. Now they've fallen. Like Luke Fickell's kind of drove them into the ground.
It's not working.
It's not working, and they're not as good as they were. Same with Virginia Tech. So there's some parallels here. And then y'all played obviously Georgia. We played South Carolina.
Y'all have had 5. We've had 4.
Yeah. So, and y'all had a bye week, and we played Utah State, who to me is going to be a big contender in the Mountain West Conference.
I'd make the argument Utah State, given the fact that Virginia Tech obviously quit on that regime that was let go a couple of weeks later.
Yeah.
And given the fact that Lenore Sellers went out of the South Kakalaki game, I would argue Utah State was the best team Vandy's played.
That I can't really dispute that. South Carolina was not winning that game, Lenore's or no Lenore's. They weren't going to win that game.
Probably not. But without Lenore, it was bad.
It got ugly, and Vanderbilt did what they should have done.
They should have. I'm not taking anything away from them.
They ran away, and I know you aren't, but like people hearing it, like, Vandy hadn't played anybody. Well, they have, but Sellers goes out. That's football, and you do what you're supposed to do. You separate, and you put 55 points on a Mountain West contender. That's pretty good. Now your defense had some things with the second unit where they had some things to fix, but that's neither here nor there. But Bronco Mendenhall is one of the most respected coaches in college football.
Yeah, he's a good one.
And he's doing great. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. It's going to be, it's going to come down to. I'm going to leave this on a cliffhanger here because we're about to take a break. But it's going to come down to physicality. It's going to come down to third downs and who can set themselves up, who can stay on schedule, and who's going to play the more physical game. Using those two factors and maybe some added factors, we're going to make some predictions next. But first, let's talk about Mazda moving the game forward. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS top safety picks awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how we craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. With all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence throughout almost any season. So like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Quo. College football's back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries. Actually, we're talking about game time here.
But it's still back. Those still are correct things you said.
Yeah. So college football is back. I can't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's nothing like it. But let's be real, Luke. Getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. You have endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout, all that stuff. I know you've been frustrated buying tickets. Everyone has. Everyone has had that experience. But that's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. Now, Luke, I don't know if this is great or sad or a combination of both. It's great for on one end and it's sad on the other. But one of my best friends went out to Los Angeles. He got his doctorate from USC, and he went back out there. He was going to go see Oasis and catch a USC game at the same time. The USC game on Saturday, Oasis on Sunday, and he bought his tickets through Game Time. Guess how much he got? 40-yard line, about halfway up the stands on the home side. Guess how much he got tickets for?
$25.
$25 a piece. That is correct. He got 2 tickets, $50.
I'll stay tuned for my prediction on the game. It's going to be pretty good, it sounds like.
Hey, there you go. But like, I don't know if that's sad for USC, but that's a different story for a different day. But the story of this is, man, he was fired up about this, and he gave me his feedback on Game Time, and I totally agree with it because I've used Game Time too as well for concert tickets. But you could see your exact view from the seat, zone deals. Like, he picked the section, and they picked the seats. It was great. And he saved big, man. It's faster, cheaper, less stressful than any other way that I've bought tickets. And same for him. He said he'll never use any other app. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right. In the words of the great Yogi Berra, it got late early, but we're going to go into a little bit of overtime as we wrap up the show here. Locked on Bama with Luke Robinson, Locked on Vandy with myself, Corey Burton, and tell Jimmy we said hello. But if you're not subscribed to Bama, Locked on Bama, you're probably being left out in the left out in the dark, left out in the cold. Same with Locked on Vandy. We're growing rapidly. It feels. I'll be honest, Luke. It feels. I'm in new territory here. Like, I got people pinging me left and right about doing spots and guest appearances. And I'm like, this is what it feels like to be a good team, I guess. Right. So
you're in a good spot. I mean, there can't be that many Vanderbilt podcasts. I mean, I don't mean that in a mean way, but I mean,
that's why I said yes.
And of course, you need to be the voice of Vanderbilt. And, Jimmy and I, we're up against a army of Alabama podcasts. Like, it's crazy how many Alabama podcasts there are. So I envy you. I mean, you've got this is your gig, baby. Run with it.
Hey, and I'm sprinting like Usain Bolt, right? So let's get into some predictions, because I think you and I are going to differ here, but there's a lot of respect. There's a lot of mutual respect going both ways for both these programs. So we talked about how Bama can win, but Luke, give me a prediction. Give me a little synopsis. Give me a little prediction. Let me know what's happening here.
Well, obviously, I'm going to pick Bama here. I'm going to say Bama 49-27. I think Vanderbilt will score some because they have a good running attack, and Alabama has not been great against the run. I'll say this. I think that people worrying about it so much after Georgia is a little bit overrated, and I think people worried about the defense overall is overrated because after all said and done, Alabama only gave up 7 points to Georgia in the second half. So, and they only gave up 21 points total to Georgia at their place. I mean, that's not for nothing. I mean, yeah, somebody dropped a wide open touchdown. Okay, that's not Alabama's fault. Maybe he was shook up. So I'm just saying that I think this defense is a little better than people think. I think the defense is going to want to play better than they did last year. I think this team has a better head on its shoulder than last year's team did. I love Jalen Milroe. I think he's fantastic. I think he's a good ambassador for Alabama. I think Ty Simpson is probably the better quarterback, and that will ultimately play out. I know Jalen Milroe did some amazing things, the gravedigger and the 4 touchdowns against LSU 2 years in a row. I mean, he did a bunch of awesome stuff. I'm not here to degrade him in the least. I wish him nothing but the best. I've met him. I've talked to him, super dude. But I think for this particular unit, I think that Ty Simpson is going to be better suited for what this offensive staff wants to do. So I'm going to say Alabama 49-27, and I'm also going to make the bold prediction that Ryan Williams does not drop a touchdown.
Oh, there you go. Going out on a limb. I love it. Yeah. I think if Alabama wins, they will win by a score like that, because I think y'all's offense is overwhelming to the point to where y'all can score in bunches. And if Vanderbilt lets the game slip away from them a little bit, like they do things like get some major penalties on a drive and get the crowd into it and go backwards on a couple of series, and they lose field position, and they go 3 and out on more than they want. Like, that plays right into Bama's hand, right? Get the crowd juiced now. The crowd is into it because you open the door for that. And like you said, Jalen Milroe, phenomenal quarterback, but he was a square peg round hole with this system. And that's not Jalen Milroe's fault.
It's not his fault
at all. And he's going to be great for the Seahawks, I think. I think eventually he's going to take over for Darnold. I think that Seahawks team is going to transform into something pretty wild. So that being said, Ty Simpson is perfect for this scheme. I think he does what exactly what they want him to do, which is what Michael Penix did in the national championship run that they made at Washington. He's a distributor. He gets the ball out to his playmakers, and they just go. They get in a rhythm. Now, where Vanderbilt can really take advantage of this game, and I'm going to take Vanderbilt here because I think they're really good at forcing teams into their tempo. And what Bama did to Georgia, I think Vandy has a chance to do to Alabama, where they kind of get them into their game, and it almost creates panic for the other team. Like Georgia's offense panicked because like they were having a lot of success running the ball, but like Alabama was just good enough against the run to where they could load up against the pass, and they were able to force Georgia to pass. Now Georgia's a lot more impatient, I think, from an offensive coordinator standpoint than Vanderbilt is. And I think Vanderbilt will say, okay, you're going to let us run. Okay, we're going to run. Okay, you're going to give us these things. We're going to take these things, and we're going to grind the ball down the field. And it's going to grind the game down to a slow pace, to a slower pace. They play a little more up tempo, more so than last year. But then you get the crowd sitting on their hands. You get the offense going, okay, we got to score because like, oh gosh, like we may not get the ball back, and then that's where all the mistakes happen. And I think it's going to be not quite as high scoring. I think it's going to be kind of like a 31-28, 34-31 type deal. Like I think it should be tight, and I think Brock Taylor's going to send a field goal through either late in the fourth quarter or a walk-off to put Vanderbilt ahead. And I think Vanderbilt's ultimately going to win based on that, because I think they're going to be able to impose their style onto Alabama, because Alabama's not as great against the run, because Alabama is not great on third downs. I think that's going to be a huge advantage for Vanderbilt's offense, and they play great complementary football. So that's kind of where I lie in this. What
I want to do, if Alabama wins the toss, I want them to take the ball. I want Alabama to get out ahead this time. Last year, they got down 14-0. Then Alabama kind of was panicking. But I think this team shouldn't necessarily panic. They've got the weapons to come back. They don't have to panic. See, Georgia, I think you're right. I think they did panic a little bit. But I don't think, everybody was telling me, Gunnar Stockton's fixed his deep ball. See, we beat Tennessee. But the deep ball wasn't what beat him. It isn't what beat Tennessee. I mean, Gunnar Stockton was very patient and had some other big-time throws, but I wouldn't call them deep ball throws. And I think Alabama's going to be able to hit some of those. And if Alabama can get up, just like last year, if Alabama gets up 14-0 instead of Vanderbilt, I think Vanderbilt's in a lot of trouble. So, because I think it's going to be tougher to come back. But I think it's going to be a good game. Vanderbilt's going to beat somebody on their schedule. I hope it's not us. I mean, they're going to beat an LSU or a Missouri or a Texas or a Tennessee, or shoot, I might even favor them over Auburn at this point. But yeah, they're going to beat a couple of those teams. I just hope we're not one of them.
Yeah, and they're going to have a really, really special season. Garrett Nussmeier going down helps your cause there. Texas struggling, like that's not a gimme now for Texas. Auburn and Kentucky are what they are. Missouri's going to be a good game, but like they kind of match up well with Missouri. So it's going to be interesting from this point forward. It's all conference games now, so you can't really hide behind they haven't played anybody now. So this is the test for Vanderbilt. If they can start the game relatively fast, they're going to be in it, and I think if they're in it, they're going to win it. If Alabama gets off to a fast start, it could be an avalanche. But Vanderbilt, that's the biggest key. Don't let them get off to that fast start. So, Luke, appreciate you, brother. This is going to be an amazing game no matter what. Bryant-Denny, it's going to be electric. Game day is going to be electric. My prediction is the kid's going to hit the kick for the Pat McAfee kick on game day to win $200,000 or whatever it is they're giving away. And man, it's going to be a great atmosphere. And these are the games that you want when you watch SEC football. Like for the league to be great top to bottom, for the most, like 1 through 15 is like really good. And Kentucky's kind of struggling, but they can sneak up and get you too. They're not like a doormat by any stretch. They're the doormat this year, but they're not typically. So this league is really good top to bottom. So that's exciting. That makes every game exciting. It makes every game important. So buckle up for this one. If you haven't, like I said, if you haven't gotten a hold of Locked On Bama, make sure you do that. Luke Robinson, Jimmy Stein. Do a phenomenal job over there covering Alabama in the vast sea of Alabama podcast. Man, they stand out. And then, of course, you can check me out, Locked On Vandy, each and every day. We come at you every day, covering your team every single day. So Locked On College Football, or it's not Locked On, it's Fire TV channel's College Football Kickoff. Make sure you watch that. Your boy's on it. Your boy is going to be on it. He's got a segment, so I'm very pumped about that. That was exciting to record today. So make sure you check that out. And if you're going to the game, have fun, drink responsibly, do whatever responsibly, have fun, be safe. And until next time, anchor down.
Roll Tide.
Peace.